Because the streamer cuts it. Oh, we're
Cool.
live. Sorry.
Cool. Though I don't know whether this was one of your funny ones or a real one. I don't know. But anyway, but whatever. ये होता है when you talk to stand-up comedy. Anyway, Jai Hind दोस्तों, good evening. Well, today I have the honor and the privilege to be in conversation with somebody. There, see, already one smile on his face and he brightens you up completely, right? So today I'm in conversation with a person who has interviewed my father. Hmm? So he is one of the few people who has got my father on the other side. So today I've got him to be on this side. So I've learned a small little prose dedicated to him just now. And though I would not be speaking at all much in this conversation, but here, now with your permission, Saurabh, could I just, yeah? तो मैं सुनाऊंगा.
Absolutely. Please do.
Thank you. But before that, let me tell you all, Sorabh Pant needs no introduction at all. You all know him. You all love him. You all adore him. You have watched him on stage. You have watched him on YouTube. You watched him on television. You watched him being really very funny. In fact, Wayne Brady, when he had toured India, this was I think July 2011. He did Wayne Brady's opening act, and Wayne Brady had said after.
Russell Peters.
Russell Peters, you are the best comedian, the best stand-up comedian of India, in fact. So there you are. And also, Rob Schneider. In fact, he had rated him very high, and also he's been spoken about as one of the top 10 stand-up comedians of the country. I would say not just top 10. I would say, if I have a choice, I would say he is the
No.
No, really, I would say that. He's the best. he is so lovable. He's amazing. So, but before I can just go on about him. But before that, let me tell one small little thing. Since Saurabh had interviewed my dad, Saurabh, do you know? But my
Yeah,
video's
I know.
paused. My network is paused right now. So
Oh, no problem.
then I'll tell. Okay. You know, the thing is, I am my own grandpa, Saurabh.
What do you mean?
Let me explain to you how. Many years ago, when I was 23, I was married to a widow who was as pretty as could be. Now, this widow had hair so red. Well, and her daughter had hair so red that my father fell in love with her and soon the two were wed. Now, this made my dad my son-in-law and changed my very life, for my daughter now became my mother, since she became my father's wife. Not to complicate the matter, though it brought me joy, I soon became the father of a bouncing baby boy. Now, this little baby of mine then became a brother-in-law to dad, and so became my uncle, for it made me very sad. For if this little baby of mine was my uncle, then that made him the brother of the widow's grown-up daughter, who, of course, by now was my stepmother. My father's wife then had a son, who kept them on the run, and he became my grandchild, for he was my stepdaughter's son. Now, my wife is now my stepmother's mother, and it makes me blue, because although she is my wife, she is my grandmother too. Now, if my wife is my grandmother, then obviously I am her grandchild, and every time I think of this, by God, it really drives me wild, for now I've become the strangest case you ever saw. As the husband of my own grandma, I am my own grandpa. It sounds funny and complicating, I know, but very so. Thank you. So since you had interviewed my dad, so I have told you that I am his dad in this regard. Just kidding. Anyway, now coming back to the point. Sorry, guys.
I have absolutely no idea what just happened, but I'm entertained.
High five for that. High five. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, time for me to press my mute button, and I'll hand over the mic to Saurabh. Saurabh, let's start about your journey from your childhood. Why you always this funny? Why you always this articulate? Did you always have the funny bone in you? How were you as a child, Saurabh?
I don't think I'm still very articulate. I think somebody pointed out in one of my recent YouTube clips that I think you, this person just said, I think you know about 300 words. And I'm like, you're not far off. It's about 300 words. I'll sometimes be on stage and I'll be doing some crowd work and I'll say something to somebody like, "Hey, you work at Tisco. That's a lot like that. Arey, what's that word? Yeah, what's that word?" And then the crowd is be like, "What word?" And then I'll say, "Hey, Arey, come on, the word." And the word is like this, and they're like, "Are you stupid? How do you do this professionally? How do you not know the word this?" So I don't know. I don't think I know many words, but yeah, it was. By the way, it is very interesting to have interviewed your dad and then getting interviewed by his son. I have to point that out. It was very interesting conversation I had with him, and yeah. So this is a full round circle. Wait, most circles are round. This is what? This is a triangular circle. What is it, man? See, I just proved what I just within 23 seconds.
You're so cool, yeah, Saurav. You're so cool. Seriously. But I love your way of being modest with humor. Saying that I am not still very articulate. Oh my goodness. If Sorabh Pant is saying that, so you can imagine भाई poor souls like me. भाई पता है poor souls like me जो बड़ी मेहनत से बड़ी मुशक्कत से आज की तारीख में I used to stammer as a child. My father mustn't have told this to you in his interview. I would stammer as a child, I would stutter, I would lisp. But today I have given the highest number of TEDx talks in the world. I'm an international TEDx speaker. But apart from being an international TEDx speaker, Saurav, let me tell you one more thing. I am an international singer as well.
Oh wow! Like you've what is an international singer that you've sung in different countries? Because even I've done that. I mean, not professionally, but I've done it. I've,
I'll tell you, you've done that. I'll tell you how I didn't get the chance to do it actually. This was the year 2003 when I turned into an international singer. So I was in the army that time. The young Lieutenant Saab posted the line of control, Indo-Pak border, where our post was 30 meters away from the Pakistani post. And then there continues this. You heard of surgical strikes, right? So ये तो बहुत common था, बहुत common है वैसे. ये यहाँ this called a trans border raid. ये अक्सर होती रहती हैं, ठीक है, from both the sides. So there was a contingency plan that अगर trans border raid हुई तो हम गोलीबारी तो करेंगे. अगर गोलीबारी कम पड़ गई तो लेफ्टिनेंट मोहम्मद अली शाह गाना गाना शुरू कर देंगे. दुश्मन बोलेगा पीछे मोड़, तेज चल, दौड़ के चल. That's how I turned into it.
this reminds me. I read a book by this gentleman called Prabal Das Gupta who wrote a book called Watershed 1967, and he spoke about how there was the two battles which India fought, one with China and one with Pakistan, and there was a point when the Chinese soldiers who were at I think Sikkim at the time, they were trying to give out propaganda speeches in Chinese. In Mandarin or Cantonese or whatever it was, and then they quickly. Oh no, sorry, they did it in Hindi, where they were trying to convince the soldiers that communism is the answer, but they were doing it in really शुद्ध हिंदी, तो किसी को समझ में नहीं आ रहा था कि वो क्या बोल रहे हैं. So I thought that was so funny, where they're literally doing it like you know how Indigo sometimes announces their धूम्रपान निषेध और मदिरा. I'm like, मदिरा कौन बोलता है भाई? दारू होता है, दारू बोलना. Like मदिरा कौन पीता है लाइफ में? मैंने जिंदगी भर मदिरा is a genre of wine that I've actually consumed a couple of times, but. So they did that, and then India countered by playing Bollywood music at them. And then there was also that incident where I think North Korea versus South Korea bhi yahi chala, where South Korea was playing K-pop music towards North Korea. So you are part of a very large scheme of using audio across the border to intimidate the enemy.
I love that, man. Okay, so also one more thing. Your sister is a very, very famous journalist. She's made a very big name. Meghna Pant, she's doing really well. So tell me, so are you inspired by her as well, or is she inspired by you?
I think we both just been doing our own thing for a while. I think I've always learned from my sister. Like she's got this gift where she'll just enter any room and suddenly she's made friends. Like she'll be talking to some auntie, some 65-year-old auntie for 25 minutes. And then auntie's like, "Arey beta, aap na, aap to matlab, oh my god," and some nonsense. And I'm like, "Who's this auntie?" And she's like, "I just met her." I'm like, what is happening? How did this even occur? So, like some of my closest friends, I have a friend called Anu, I have another friend called James, and they have the same tactic of like just being able to talk to any human being that they see. So I think that with Meghna, that aspect of her personality I always find very interesting, where she just put herself in a situation where she does a lot of great networking and people like to hang around with her. Whereas in my case, it's like I think only recently, I think, as post pandemic, when I started doing shows, is when I realized, अच्छा networking भी कोई चीज होती है. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you spend a lot of time, like after corporate shows, I'll hang out with people, I'll talk to everybody. One, because I genuinely enjoy it, but two, also because I've seen it work for my sister, I've seen it work for my other people, and but I think it's mainly because I really enjoy it. I think and so that's what I've learned from my sister is that the networking side is important, and not only important, it's also enjoyable, right? Like I think I've transitioned from being an introvert to being like a introvert who's taught themselves to be an extrovert, where you become an ambivert and whatever that bloody scale or whatever the hell it is. And I've learned a lot of that from my sister. Like we keep talking about things and about during the pandemic, though I think my sister got me like more work than my managers. Like she literally she hustled. Like I think I got a show on Amazon Audible because of my sister. I got two corporate shows because of my sister. So she's always been like my biggest endorser. And yeah, I think what we've and she's also genuinely very funny. Like my sister is very funny, my wife is very funny, my parents are very funny. So we inspire each other by just action, I guess, and that's always interesting.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, just before we came on live, Saurabh was telling me that, just a second, I'll just switch on. I need to give this to my wife. So I wasn't sure. The Saurabh Pant sahi bol rahe hain? Or you trying to make me laugh? I don't know, Saurabh, I'm not sure, man. Are you trying to make me laugh? Or he was no, generally very serious. I've seen him being serious on two occasions specifically. Uh, Both the times he was interviewing lieutenant generals. General Panag. The interview with General Panag, I must say, it was so amazing and it was long. But one didn't come to know. मालूम नहीं पड़ा इतना लंबा time निकल गया about his book and about such things.
Yeah.
It was your way of conversation, your way of connecting to people. It's phenomenal. Be it offline, be it online. Amazing. So,
Like I love to talk to you, in fact, about this. I mean, you raised the topic about my sister and all of that. I mean, like first of all, talking to your father and Lieutenant General H.S. Panag, and then you. I think we've been talking about having an interview on my channel for a long time. I've just not come around to it. But I'd love to know, like in your case, how was it to have your dad as your dad? Because like I mean, with all of that, like I mean because it's almost like every time you talk to somebody from the armed forces, like somebody from the navy, their parents were in the navy. So was that almost like a rites of passage ki nahi mujhe yahi karna hai papa ki wajah se? And what is it like being his son?
very good question, Saurabh. Saurabh, I must tell you this. I have this photograph when I was in class fifth, and I am taking part in a fancy dress competition where I'm dressed like an army officer, and I'm saluting. And बाकी बाद में 2003 में when I got commissioned as an officer in my passing out parade, I have stars on my shoulders. My parents are putting those stars, and I put that photograph the way we have put right now. Me then and me now, that way. And when I got commissioned, when I was awarded the President's Commission on 6th September 2003, my father was a serving general in the army that time.
Wow.
And yeah, so of course I had to salute him. And when he put the stars, and I salute my mother as well. And then sort of when I became a captain, I came under his command.
Oh my
He was my
god, yeah.
boss. Yeah. So I was his ADC.
Oh, the odds.
So I hardly went to the house. I used to only meet them in office hours and army parties at the golf course. Very, very formal. And छुट्टी के time पे कहाँ पर जाएं भाई अब छुट्टी हो गई. And in my, you authorize 2 months of annual leave and 10 days of casual leave. So I was like, now, so I used to go to Bombay to Nasir Uncle's place for my chutti. Okay, bhai, I can't go to my parents' house to I'm the ADC. So yeah, it was. And of course, when you have such towering personality in your family, it is a big challenge, no doubt. And when I got commissioned in his regiment, all the JCOs, the junior commissioned officers, the senior lot over there, they were all recruits during my father's time. They would say, Saab, जब शाह साहब रेजिमेंट में थे साहब तो वो पहाड़ी देख रहे हो साहब वो पहाड़ी को तो वो यूं खा जाते साहब. That was yes. So that's all. So tell me, when was it that you actually found your calling? I know you turned professional in 2008 as a stand-up comedian, but before that, when was it when you said in your school days or in your graduation years, whenever, that you wanted to become a stand-up comedian?
I think, see, I always wanted to like express myself, like, because I think that what happens is that I wasn't good at studies. I had a very interesting epiphany about myself very recently, which is that I was listening to Mark Wood, England fast bowler, talking about bowling fast, right? And all of the stories come from being like he's 5'10", which is short for a fast bowler, and I was like 5'7" growing up, like 5'4" growing up, and I used to bowl very fast. And I used to generally bowl fast. I'm not like just saying this. Like, ask anybody who played me. I used to bowl fast, and that was my only form of expression and my only form of sort of making a stamp in the world around me, was that I could bowl fast and I could intimidate people with the way I used to bowl. And until I think I stumbled upon stand-up comedy, I don't think I had any other means of expressing myself. So it is literally like this. I see almost like a line between that and this, and like it's very interesting because I remember when I used to bowl, like वहां पर कहीं भी ग्राउंड में खेलते रहते थे, तो मुंबई में तो कहीं भी तुम खेलो, मतलब even if it's in a compound, this is a government compound, there are potholes everywhere, so your landing strip is like just like a gadha. So I broke my ankle multiple times, and my left ankle still pains to this day, like on a like daily basis. And I realize I feel the same way about stand up, where I'm like, I'm willing to put myself through pain and to put myself through as much physical this thing. Like, so I do 2.5 hour shows sometimes, because I'm like, मेरे को बहुत मजा आ रहा है, तुम लोग को आइडिया नहीं है. कई 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 comedians बोलते हैं कि भाई अरे कम कर ले, 80 मिनट काफी है. I'm like, no, but you don't understand how much I love this. You don't understand. So that transition, I think I discovered. I mean, I had this epiphany recently, but I started my career as a writer on TV for a very long time. 2005, 2004,
Yeah.
probably immediately after college, I started writing. And I worked with Veer Das, and I wrote for him for a show on CNBC called News on the Loose.
You were
I
there for
wrote,
3.5 years.
yeah, 2 to 3.5 years. We wrote a lot of interesting stuff. Veer and me go way back. Like Veer has always been one of those people where I'm always very impressed by his work ethic and everything. Like and it's so yeah, that's where I found my calling, was like sort of opening for Veer, and then I don't think I actually truly became a comedian till 2015, because 2008 से लेकर 2015 में तुम उस time मतलब the number of shows you were doing in a month was like 4, which is nothing. It's like your 10,000 hours कुछ होता नहीं है उसमें. You're just trying any nonsense. So I don't think I truly started stand-up comedy in 2015. I don't think I truly became good at it till 2018. But yeah, that's how I found my calling, was through writing on TV, etc., etc. I have to ask you a question. Okay, I've had this question for a while. You did a scene with Nasiruddin Shah in was it Tashkent Files?
Tashkent File. That's right, Saurabh. Absolutely,
So
yes.
I have to ask you, like, this is like, I mean, like you've started your journey as an actor, and you're with the sort of like one of the epitomes of acting in the country, right? So did he help you, or did you just like, nahi, tu samajh, jo samajhna hai? I'm very curious about how that feeling was to share the screen with Nasiruddin Shah.
Very good question. I had been learning and doing theatre with him right from my childhood, from my school days and such things.
Yeah.
I did my first play with him in the year 1996, where we shared the stage together when I was still in school, and he had got his entire group, Motley, to my school, Orange School, Lovedale, to perform in school. And then in the year 2001, very few people know of this, Randeep Hooda, Shahid Kapoor, and myself, we were in the same acting class together, which was being mentored by Nasir Uncle. Nasir Saab, rather. You know, so Shahid and Randeep came to Mumbai and became stars. I joined the army thereafter and earned stars on my uniform.
Oh,
Okay,
well, nicely written. Well done, yeah.
thanks, brother.
Nice.
So I did plays with, and I would, where there is no role for me, I would do backstage, and I would learn the ropes, observe him doing in workshops. Then finally, the day came when I had to be face to face with him on screen. And the irony is, I am supposed to be his boss in that scene, where I bullshit him,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm and I'm the president of the political party, and he's the home minister, so to say. So he comes in and my office, and I give him a mouthful. So yes, it was. I would say it would be very, very challenging for everyone. But since I was mentored and trained by a personality like Nasir Saab, I have done a lot of theatre with Tom Walter. So when I had these kind of mentors, so I would not say I completely forgot that I was Ali. Of course, I knew I was Ali. I knew, but I was totally into Aditya Raj, the character that I was playing, and नसीर अंकल नहीं आएंगे यहाँ से, अली नहीं बैठा है यहाँ पे अल्तराज बैठा है, और यहाँ पे शास्त्री जी आएंगे, और what was his character's name, and I have to give a mouthful. So I just played my part, and when I saw the outcome finally on screen, I was like, wow, okay. Am I looking nervous? I kept asking my wife, am I looking nervous in this? Yeah. So yeah, I've had the privilege of working with my father in uniform. I've had the privilege of working with Nasir Saab on stage and on camera. So I consider myself very lucky and very fortunate. Yeah, I mean, when there's a will, there's a way, they say, right? तो आप या तो फौज में जाओ या तो एक्टर बनो, तो मैंने दोनों कर लिए भाई.
Huh. I also like how you're oscillating between saying Nasir uncle and Nasir Saab. Like you're like, though, one is a familiar reverence and the other is like acting whatever level reference. Yeah.
He was Nasir uncle till the time I moved to Mumbai. When I moved to
Huh.
Mumbai, I stopped calling him Nasir uncle. I stopped referring to him as Nasir uncle. He was Nasir Saab, plain and simple. Just like my dad was dad before I came in as his ADC under his command. Then he was sir. और वो आज तक घर पे भी कई बार मेरे मुंह से सर निकलता है, बल्कि ट्विटर पे आप देखोगे he follows you and I too follow you, तो कई बार वो कुछ कमेंट करते हैं ना, तो I write with a well said sir.
That's fun. It's good respect. Yeah, completely.
So tell me, who has been your inspiration earlier? Like, I know you worked with Veer for a while, I know, but who has been your actual inspiration in terms of comedy in your formative years?
So there was, I mean, like it's anybody who says that Indian comedy is just started recently and all is absolutely talking out of their ass. I remember I've spoken about this many times. I saw the first stand-up comedian I ever saw live. I saw Johnny Lever in a club called उस time पे उसका नाम था WI Club, which is now Malabar Club. And I think we had seen कि हाँ मतलब films में देखा था उनको थोड़ा यहाँ वहाँ, because I was like 12. I hadn't seen that many films in any case, or 11 maybe. और लोग मतलब वहाँ अपना पनीर टिक्का वगैरह ऑर्डर कर रहे हैं, my dad and me are like totally into it, and he was so goddamn funny. Yeah, like he had a bit where he it's a very old Johnny Lever bit, which I still like think about it and laugh. Okay, which is that Johnny was like, अभी माइकल जैक्सन आया इंडिया में, लोग लड़के बाहर खड़ी हुए, Michael, I love you, Michael. Just does like full Johnny Lever like selling it, and then he just says, Michael, I love you for like 8 minutes, and it is such a funny bit, okay, because it's Johnny Lever just doing his bit, and I laughed so much that I think I saw a Hasya Kavi Sammelan once, which I found very funny, and even I think when like Laughter Challenge and all started. Right, I think once the internet exploded or started in India, at least, you started becoming more familiar with like, हाँ ठीक है, George Carlin मस्त है, ये सब मस्त है, whatever. But I still remember seeing like, and this is why, I mean, this is like, it's sad. I really hope against all odds that Raju Srivastav comes out of what he's going through right now, because I mean, I had the absolute fortune to interview him, and he still remains one of my favorite, I would say, comedians, Indian comedians, whatever it is. Like he had some bits which just made me laugh, and I've met him a couple of times. Always very generous with his time and all of that stuff. So there were all of these people who were around then, and then of course you have your references like your comedians abroad, etc., which is. I think the one person who really struck out for me long back was Chris Rock, actually. I don't know if you're familiar with Chris Rock's initial stand-up bits, but they were absolutely landmark brilliantly. And I think they came out at the time that I was there. And then, of course, Russell Peters. Russell Peters is another one who was everybody's introduction to Indian comedy. So yeah, there's so many references who sort of initiated me into stand-up.
Right. And tell me a bit about Pant on Fire, or should I say Pant on Fire, either ways, which was your first comedy special, which was staged in more than 10 cities in India, in Dhaka, Dubai. The tour reached North America in November 2012, if I'm not mistaken. So tell me a bit about Pant on Fire or Pant on Fire.
तो the tour of North America तो ऐसे ही बकवास था, वो कुछ नहीं टूर नहीं था, उसमें मुझे कुछ पैसे भी नहीं मिले. I just showed up. I was in America, and then you know how you just exaggerate anything and just say ये देखो मैं अमेरिका भी गया, मैं कुछ नहीं किया वहां पर. I was doing open mic nights. Open mic nights anybody can do. Like you can essentially just sign up for an open mic night and do it. I think I did like probably 2 shows there or something like that. And I think I did Canada में Mississauga मैंने किया वहाँ पर, which is a place called Yuck Yucks, which is, but it was, I mean I wish I could go back and do something like that again. But Pant on Fire उस time पे it was like, I don't think it was even a show. It was like 40 minutes of me just trying to figure out what it was. And so I'll tell you the change between being a stand-up comedian back then versus being a stand-up comedian now. I think this was 2011 or something like that. Something even I don't remember. And back then you had to create your own show because कोई और shows नहीं कर रहा था उस time पे. So you just had to create something to do by yourself. So I had like crowd work. I was like talking about gujjus and madus and all the cliches. Like I was trying to be like India wala Russell Peters, where I'm like Sindhi log kaise hote hain? Ye sab. So it was. I don't think it was much of a show. I don't think it was a tour. It was just something like I was just like probably workshopping my way to try and get on stage somehow or the other. But yeah, Pant on Fire was one of those things where I think like the Pant puns have. Like every time I'm naming something, anything in my head, I think, yaar, mat dal apna surname, mat dal. Like I have a brand new channel where I do YouTube lives, and I've been wanting to call it, like my original channel is called Pant on Fire on YouTube, and the second one I was like, hey, call it short punts, right? Short pants or whatever. And I've resisted against the temptation for 3 months, and then I think eventually I'll just do it. So this punt surname, like I think initially it was Pant on Fire, then Traveling Pants, then Rant of the Pants. So it was just back to back, just surname based shows, which I've generally tried to get out of now. So yeah.
Talking about your YouTube channel, you have a lot of following on YouTube. In fact, your videos, they actually go viral. I don't know if you realize it or not. It is shared on almost every WhatsApp group, everywhere on social media. You are the talk. So tell me, when you started your first YouTube channel, and which year was that? When was that?
I think the first time I started uploading content on my YouTube channel was probably 2017 actually, when I left East India Comedy. I think that was when I actually started it officially. I started uploading a lot of stand-up content, and also I realized that I need some sense of discipline because like when you make a change in your life suddenly, like career-wise, and then you're like, "Bhai, abhi abhi kuch dhakka chahiye tujhe." Like you really need to push yourself. So I decided to release 13 stand-up videos in 13 weeks, which is a lot of work. Like it's essentially like releasing a stand-up special plus 20 minutes. And I did successfully do it, where I released a series of videos called A Rant of the Panth, where I talked about I think taxation on sanitary pads. I spoke about fairness creams, about Ravindra Gaikwad slapping that Air India employee, and many like all these kind of incidents. And I wish I had the focus that I had back then of just being able to do that again. Also, it's a different thing right now. You're living in a country where I don't think like doing topical content is as easy as it was probably in 2017. Now you have to think 15 times before you like put out anything.
That's
But yeah, so the YouTube channel I think initially was a thrust. And then I did a show called Sorabh Reviews Anything, which again I also really enjoyed, which was with William Lawson's. And then yeah, I keep releasing stand up. Right now I'm releasing a lot of crowd work. And my intention with putting out content on my I have two channels. One is my stand up channel, and one is my YouTube live channel. So what I do with my stand up channel is that I want it to be I want it to be authentic. Like, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be top tier comedy, but I want it to be authentic. I want people to go like I tried to do this video, and that's when you realize that it's not easy to explain this to people. As a comedian you will do the same set. Okay, 10 मिनट का तुम्हारा सेट है, तुम जाके 4 जगह में जाके परफॉर्म करोगे उसको, and the chances of it working in all 4 places, especially if it's the new set, is pretty low. And so I wanted to display that ki you do the same exact joke in 4 different places, and it works in only the fourth. Right. And that's the video you release. So I released that video, and the crowd are like, ये क्यों release किया है, समझ में नहीं आया, 3 बार fail हुआ तो काय को कर रहा है. I'm like, no, the idea is to make it authentic. So I'm going to release a video about the last time I was in Dubai, where a lady heckled me. She was at my show despite not wanting to be there and whatever. And I just want, even though it's awkward, I want it to be authentic. I want it to be interesting. Where yeah, so that's what I do on the stand-up channel, and on the other channel I do my YouTube lives, obviously.
right. That's a very, very good idea. So tell me, when you initially launched a YouTube channel, तो शुरुआत में वो है मजरू सुल्तानपुरी का शेर है, मैं तो अकेले ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल, मैं तो अकेले ही चला था जानिबे मंजिल, मगर लोग साथ आते गए और कारवां बनता गया. So you have a huge following. So tell me one thing. Um, let's talk about your first 100 subscribers initial. तो वो आपके 100 सब्सक्राइबर कब आ गए थे? पहले 1 घंटे में, पहले 1 दिन में कब आए थे?
मुझे सच में याद नहीं. आई थिंक जब मैंने लॉन्च किया था चैनल, तो आई थिंक उस टाइम पे चैनल भी नहीं था. आई थिंक 2000 नहीं, जब मैंने कॉमेडी की शुरुआत की थी ना, उस टाइम पे आई थिंक 2008 नहीं, 2010 या 11 में मैंने एक कोई वीडियो रिलीज किया जब मैंने न्यूयॉर्क में परफॉर्म किया था. तो उसकी वजह से आई थिंक 10,000 सब्सक्राइबर ऐसे ही आ गए. और उस टाइम पे यूट्यूब पे कोई स्टैंड अप रिलीज नहीं कर रहा था. मतलब आई थिंक उस टाइम पे बस लिटरली नितिन गुप्ता कर रहा था और कोई था ही नहीं. और आई थिंक बीच बीच में आई थिंक थोड़ा बहुत कई बार विपुल गोयल या कोई कर रहा था. तो 10,000 सब्सक्राइबर ऐसे ही आ गए, मुझे पता ही नहीं चला. एंड दैट्स व्हेन यू रियलाइज दैट उस टाइम पे जो जो सब्सक्राइबर की वैल्यू थी वो कम थी. बिकॉज लाइक आ ही रहे हैं, क्या है. Like I remember, I don't think I even counted much back then. Now it's reached a point where I think I have been मेरे stand up channel में I think I've gained 5,000 subscribers in like a year. Okay. And it's like just maintaining consistency, is a good thing. Like as long as you're not losing subscribers is a game, especially if you're doing like a long run thing. So I know that the thrust will come at some stage where it'll again go up and then it'll again plateau. But you just have to stay the course and figure out how to whatever. तो पहले 100, पहले 10,000, पहले 1 लाख भी मुझे सच में याद नहीं है. फिर धीरे धीरे जो बढ़ते गया. आई कैन इनफैक्ट टेल यू 10,000 was when I did just random stand-up releases between 2011 and 2017. उसके बाद when I did Rant of the Pant, I think it went up to about 160. Then when I did Sorabh Reviews Anything, I did went up to about 240, and then it slowly reached 310, 315. And then I started the YouTube lives during the pandemic, it went up to about 362. I think roughly that's, I think ऐसा ही कुछ था. And now it's about that much. And then when you realize that when you're running a long run channel, like I'm never even aiming to be as popular as somebody who has like 10 million, or even like if I get 500,000, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm like, मुझे
You
इतने
already
लोग.
are there, Saurabh. You already are that popular. पता नहीं आपको एहसास है इस बात के बारे में कि नहीं मालूम है. You are really, मतलब you are really amazing. You're so awesome. Seriously.
No,
And
please don't say such positive things.
2012 में आपने बात की थी ईस्ट इंडिया कॉमेडी की. आपने 2012 में वो फाउंड की थी. फिर आपने कहा कि 2017 में आपने छोड़ी वो. तो अगर आपने फाउंड करी है तो आप वो छोड़ कैसे रहे हैं? आपने रिक्रूट किए बड़े बड़े कॉमेडी. आपने कुणाल राव को रिक्रूट करा, आपने सपन वर्मा को रिक्रूट करा, आपने साहिल शाह को रिक्रूट करा, अतुल खातरी, अजीम बांटेवाला, अंगद सिंह दानियाल, एंड द लिस्ट गोज ऑन. आपने कितने लोगों को मौका भी दिया वहां पे. तो हाउ कुड यू हैव left a company which you have founded?
So I never wanted to found the company. It's the truth. I just wanted friends to hang out and do मस्ती. Where I'm like, करते हैं कुछ मस्ती करते हैं, शो वीडियोस बनाते रहते हैं. उस टाइम पे वो ट्रेंड था कि ऑल इंडिया बकचोदी ये कर रही है और टीवीएफ ये कर रहा है, ये सब कर रहे हैं, तो हम भी करते हैं. व्हाई नॉट, लेट्स डू आवर थिंग. And I never wanted to start a company. And then Sapan, Sahil and Kunal, who came initially, said कि भाई ये करना ही पड़ेगा. You have to understand that we have to do this, and you're the most popular, biggest face, so you have to propel this forward. So I'm like, ठीक करते हैं. So I never actually truly recruited anybody. I never had the drive to run a startup, because essentially, when you think about it, East India Comedy was a startup, and we were a startup without a CEO. We were just like a group of people doing all sorts of stuff. I never wanted to be the CEO. I don't want that kind of crazy responsibility, because also the main reason is that if it was the only work I was doing, then great. पर मैं साथ में स्टैंड अप भी कर रहा हूँ, और स्टैंड अप करके ये भी करना काफी मुश्किल है. Like it's to run a comedy company and be a comedian touring constantly. मतलब तुम साल में 150 या 200 शोज कर रहे हो और उसके साथ तुम कंपनी चलाओ, काफी मुश्किल है. Like even Tanmay and all these people, they reduced the number of stand-up shows they were doing while they were running the company. So did TVF, though, I think, just producing content, which is their main job. So it was very tough to be able to do all of that. So East India Comedy are still my closest friends in comedy. I absolutely love all of them. But the main reason I left was because I think the time had come. There was a point till about 2016-17 जब comedy produce करने के लिए तुम्हें group की जरूरत थी. और फिर 2017 के बाद नहीं थी, because it became a little easier to produce content. Now it's become even more easy. Like we are doing this. This was unheard of like 3 years back. Forget like 2017 के आसपास. So the reason I left was also financial, because I had a young kid and we were planning a second child, and to financially run a startup, which is and I'll be perfectly honest, running a comedy startup is not very profitable. It's a lot of work. Like, unless you get into movies and keep doing a lot of brand deals, it's not a crazy amount of money. I think so when I left East India Comedy in 2017, I think that year, I think my income increased by about 45%. So I think that tells you like my personal income. And yeah, I mean, so that's why I left. Even
Wow.
though we are very, very good friends and we still do a lot of things together. So yeah.
Right. Tell me about your book, The Wednesday Soul, which I think Abhishek Bachchan had released, and it was the year 2012, if I'm not mistaken, where you turned into an author and you started writing. In fact, you were always writing for television right from 2005 onwards. So tell me about The Wednesday Soul. Let's talk about that. And people who haven't read it, though many of us would have read it, in fact, how can they get hold of this book online right now?
One second. I will tell you more things about life.
Hmm.
Okay. So I have written 4 books actually,
Wow.
and this is the fourth, which is called Vote
What
for
for
Pant,
fun?
which I released. Yeah, which I released recently. मतलब recently हो गया, मतलब 7 महीने हो गए, अभी 6-7 महीने हो गए. I don't think it's done very well. since
Modesty. That's
since
Sorabh
I'm
Pant.
still yeah, I'm still talking about it 7 months later. So I've released 4 books. One was called The Wednesday Soul, which is about what happens after you die. It still remains, I think, to this day, my favorite thing I've ever written, including stand up and including everything. Because I got full philosophical. I read like a lot of religious texts and what happens after you die according to different religions, and figured out a philosophy of mine which sort of made sense comedically and otherwise. So it's a very funny book, and if you like fantasy fiction, I mean, go for it. If you don't like fantasy fiction, then don't read it. Then I wrote Under Delhi. Then I wrote Pavan the Flying Accountant, and then the recent one I wrote was Vote for Panth. So this is my first nonfiction, and my whole intention of writing books is that it's just a very interesting creative exercise. Because as a comedian or as any kind of creative output person, like, वो डेडलाइन नहीं होती है ना तुम्हारे ऊपर कि भाई ये खत्म करना है, और तुम्हारा वर्ड काउंट कुछ 2000 तो कुछ नहीं, कितना होना चाहिए फॉर अ बुक. इट्स सपोज टू बी, आई थिंक, am I losing it, or 80,000 or something like that. I think this current one is 45,000. So it's just a very interesting writing experience, where just to like creatively express yourself in different ways. And I've always literally lived my career as, I don't particularly care if something is relatable, or if something is going to get viral. मुझे viral नहीं होने का है. I just want to do things that are interesting. I want to do things that I enjoy. And that, like, even if that means that, like, honestly, I'll be like, I think I've written like the first book probably sold 3,000 copies. Second one sold about 5,000. No, yeah, 3,000 again. And then the third book sold about 6,000. And this, I think, must have sold about 1,500, 2,000, something like that. It's not a crazy number of sales, but I just enjoy it. Like Wake Up with Saurabh, for example, which is the channel where I do the YouTube lives. It's got about 26,000 subs, which is okay. It's decent. It's not bad, but I just enjoy doing it. I really love talking to people and finding, like, talking to your dad, talking to Raju Shivasa, talking to whoever it is, actors, cricketers, sports people, whatever it is. It's just interesting to me. So even with the writing, that was the whole idea of writing the book, was that I'm like, this is interesting, and I really enjoy doing it. So yeah.
Raju Srivastav's daughter and his nephew, they made a
हाँ
film called Vodka Diaries,
हाँ
and
हाँ हाँ.
I acted in that. In fact, उसमें मेरा scene के मैनन के साथ में है. मैं आपको भेजूंगा इसके बाद. I'll WhatsApp that scene
Oh
to you.
wow.
And you
उसका
being
डायरी
a
है.
comedy, you will like that scene. So a comedy type scene है मेरा. मैं वो भेजूंगा. I would like to know your views on that. कि भाई वो scene के बारे
Yes,
में
please.
आपको हंसी आई कि नहीं आई?
मुझे उसका पोस्टर याद है, वोडका डायरीज का पोस्टर याद है, बिकॉज आई थिंक उस टाइम पे ये तो ये वो एक ऐसी मूवी थी जो आई थिंक एक्सप्लोर्ड नहीं हुई इतनी ज्यादा, पर लोखंड वाला एटसेट्रा, वो पूरी अंधेरी वैस मार्केट जहां पर सारे एक्टर्स बैठे रहते हैं, वहां पर उसके काफी पोस्टर्स दिख रहे थे मुझे. एंड सो
Right, right.
every time you see a lot of posters of a particular movie, only specifically in लोखंड वाला अंधेरी, you think to yourself like, I don't think this movie is going to do very well. Very only marketing is in Andheri West. It's like probably you're not going to make enough money. Yeah, but
Deepu also
I'm
was
sure. I'm
there.
sure.
Deepu
Huh.
also acted in that. His younger brother, Deepu Srivastav. He's also a
अच्छा अच्छा, oh, I
brilliant,
didn't know.
brilliant comedian. Yeah,
Okay, okay. अच्छा
okay,
अच्छा.
that's good. Right. So Saurabh, so tell me one thing. So you spoke about Johnny Lever, you spoke about जो आपके आदर्श थे बचपन में. आज की तारीख में जब आप देखते हैं कि आज की युवा पीढ़ी जो वो कहती है कि हमें भी कॉमेडियन बनना है, हमको भी स्टैंड अप कॉमेडियन बनना है, हमको सौरभ पंत बनना है. So when you hear these people getting influenced and inspired by a personality like you, like the way you were inspired in your childhood with someone, how do you feel?
Look, I don't find myself particularly inspiring. I'm just a person who works pretty. I really enjoy. I want to enjoy what I do. I've been doing a lot of corporate shows recently, and I came to the idea कि पहले ना मुझे corporate shows मिलते थे, and I used to treat it like a burden. Where I would be like, क्या है यार, ये लोग हंसेंगे नहीं, ये corporate वाले वाले क्या है, इनको HR से बात करने का है, मेरे से नहीं बात नहीं कर रहा है, and whatever. And then I slowly started realizing that it's just a different place to express yourself, right? मतलब वो सारे जो नॉर्म्स होते हैं कि भाई क्लीन कॉमेडी करो, ये सब करो, वो सब करो. I'm like, that's an interesting exercise in comedy, right?
Uh,
And so recently I've been doing a lot more corporate shows, and like I think in a month I'm doing about 4 or 5 or whatever it is, and I'm really enjoying like 70% of them. बिकॉज आई एम लाइक दिस इज अ जॉय. भाई कोई तुम्हें पैसा दे रहा है कि भाई आओ हंसाओ हमें. So I just like that whole thing. So I just find that like often enough what tends to happen is that we take a lot of things for granted. I was talking to another friend of mine, Apurv Gupta, about this, about how like until something's taken away from you, know, you don't realize the value of it sometimes. So whether it's brand work, whether it's like whatever a show, whatever it is, you don't realize कि भाई इसका कुछ value है तुम्हारी life में. So I think, I mean, and it sounds like such a bloody cliche to say that be grateful about what you have. Like I'm very lucky to be able to do this for as long as I've been doing it, and hopefully for longer. Um, so I would just say, be excited. I mean, like if you're earning money doing stand up, or like you're making jokes and earning money, or just doing whatever, you're making YouTube videos or jo bhi tum kar rahe ho. Like it's amazing. Isn't it amazing? I mean, how are you not
yeah.
amazed by the fact that this is something you're getting paid money for? Like you, like तुम, and if you're a comedian specifically, तुम literally दिन में, and this is every comedian has observed this, तुम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 2 घंटे के लिए काम कर रहे हो दिन में. Like, do you even understand how lucky you are कि तुम दिन में सच में 2 घंटे काम कर रहे हो? Like, I mean, like people like me and other people also work harder doing other things, but essentially at max you're working 6 hours a day, right? So just enjoy your life and work and be a little dedicated to what you do.
Superb, yeah. And as you are speaking on this big mic, I can also see some big muscles over there that you have. So, so do you work out regularly, Saurabh?
अरे भाई बहुत मजा आ रहा है यार वर्कआउट करने में. मैं तो आई थिंक पोस्ट लाइक सिंस द पैंडेमिक एंड ऑल, इट्स लिटरली बीन माय सोर्स ऑफ मेंटल sanity. Like today I was feeling very cranky all day, and then I realized it's because I have not exercised at all. And
Wow.
so I've realized like it's just the key to everything, which is that and so what I do is that I usually, my ideal workout scenario is I go to the gym for about 45 minutes, I lift weights, and then I come out and then I play cricket with my kids for about 45 minutes in the evening. It's the perfect workout, like for me, where I'm like दो एक cardio भी होगा और वो भी हो गया दोनों. So I thoroughly enjoyed. See, my aim is to become Cyrus Brocha in 7 years. I don't know. I don't know if you've been following Cyrus Brocha. Like Cyrus Brocha looks like a fridge right now, okay, and like a very very fit fridge. But I'm like, dude, I think that's what happens to comedians. So like, as I said, तुम 6 घंटा काम कर रहे हो, you can work out for 2 hours in a day. So yeah, I'm sure it's the same for you, where it's like the physical. I mean, especially with the army background and all, I'm sure like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
need
We
exercise.
फौज में आने से पहले ना, you look at a mountain, a beautiful mountain. Wow, what a beautiful mountain, what a beauty. Wow, it looks amazing. Want to see? फोटो लो. ठीक है. फौज में आने के बाद ना फंडे क्लियर हो गए बिल्कुल. तो पहाड़ी वैसे उससे ज्यादा खूबसूरत पहाड़ी को देख लेंगे हम. अरे बाप रे, इसको चढ़ने में भैया कितना टाइम लगेगा, हैं? So the perception changes completely. You
Yeah.
spoke about Cyrus Brocha, you spoke about Johnny Lever, we spoke about Nasir Saab. There was a film in our childhood. You and I are more or less all the same age, almost just a year or two difference. So तब
हाँ
बचपन में एक फिल्म आपको याद होगा, एक फिल्म आई थी जलवा.
हाँ 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 हाँ
And we
हाँ.
spoke about bulging biceps, in which Nasir Saab had to build up his biceps, and he had to really work out. So Cyrus Brocha उस
Yeah.
टाइम पे बच्चे बच्चे थे, जॉनी लीवर भी उस टाइम पे इतने ज्यादा वेल नोन नहीं थे, And he was a very funny man. You would always see him doing funny things. So, what was your impression about Jalwa when you saw it, if at all you saw it in your childhood?
I've still not seen Jalwa. It's been one of those movies where I'm like, यार ये देखना चाहिए, but chance ही नहीं मिला कभी. Like, okay, you know what? I'll make this even worse for you. You know which movie I have still not finished to this date is Jaane Bhi Do Yaro. I've still not finished the movie. I've seen 45 minutes and I'm
Shocking.
like, I love this movie. And then my children came into the, like when it came out, right? I just missed it completely. I completely, और ये होता है कई बार with pop culture, you're like I hadn't seen Star Wars for a very long time. I hadn't seen एक और कौन सी हिंदी मूवी थी यार मैंने देखी नहीं कभी. And then I saw it and you're like, this movie hold. Oh, Andaz Apna Apna. Andaz Apna Apna I saw like last year. I hadn't seen Andaz Apna Apna.
Wow.
And then I was like,
Wow.
dude, how did I miss this incredible? Like, it's one of the funniest movies, and it set the trend for so much of Indian and specifically Hindi comedy, etc. So, Jaane Bhi To Yaar, I've still not finished. I still have to finish the last 35 minutes of Jaane Bhi To Yaar. So, yeah.
Fair enough. ठीक है. Tell you one thing. In your opinion, stand-up comedians, I think they are great actors. They are theater personalities in their own right, right? So, do you think a stand-up comedian can become a good actor, not just in comedy, but in terms of serious small करना है या और कुछ intense scene करना है. तो अब का stand-up comedian is not very conscious about the crowd, about performing. So I feel that I am a faculty at Whistling Woods International. सुभाष घई का फिल्म स्कूल है. तो अपने बच्चों को मैं ये बताता हूँ कि भाई अगर आप परफॉर्मर हो तो परफॉर्मर हो, आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो तभी आप एक्टर हो. So do you think a stand-up comedian can even do intense scenes in a serious scenes? He can make a good actor.
I mean, like anybody, honestly, acting is one of those things that, like David Spade is one of my favorite comedians. Okay, he's this American guy. You may have seen him in a lot of movies.
Of
But he
course.
said that Oscars have been won by so many random people. Like a 16-year-old girl, a 7-year-old girl who had never done acting before just won an Oscar. So how hard can it be? Right. And that's his whole premise. And when you think about it, that's actually true. Where it's like, I'm not saying acting is easy. I'm just saying that it can be achievable for anybody. I'm particularly not very interested in being an actor because I think like there are so many people who do it very well. I don't know how I would be, but I know that a lot of my friends, like I think Veer has obviously done a couple of films, and I think Kanan did one film, and then I think Bassi is.
Who? Me server.
Haji?
We talking about me server.
No, I'm talking about Veer Das and then
Oh,
Kanan Gill. Uh, they
Right.
both done films and whatever. It's just something that's never. And then I know a lot of my friends who are pretty good actors. Naveen Richard is a good actor. Sumukhi Suresh is a good actor. Kumar Varun, of course, is a really good actor. So it's just something that is just never interested me because I just like being on stage. I don't. You know what? I can't deal with Alice. I just can't deal with like waiting on a set. Yeah, where people are like, हाँ यहाँ बैठो, बुलाते हैं 3 घंटे चिल मारा, मारी बिस्किट खाओ, पर ज्यादा मत खाना, अगर मोटापा हो जाएगा तो इस फिल्म से निकाल देंगे तुम्हें. Like it's just like I'm like I can't endure this baiting यार. Like with stand up at least like it's like, and then also yeah, with stand up what happens is चलो ठीक है, in a corporate show maximum they'll make you wait for 3 hours, but then you get on set, then you get on stage and you're doing at least like 45 minutes, right? In a movie you're like, हाँ बोलो मेरा दूध किधर है, मेरा दूध किधर है, अच्छा घर जाओ. So I'm just too impatient. I'm too impatient to be an actor, I think. But I think there are a lot of comedians who are quite good at it.
और आजकल एक और नया ट्रेंड हुआ है बिकॉज आई स्पीक रेगुलरली ऑन टेलीविजन ऑन डिफरेंट आर्ग्यूमेंट एनालिसिस बट वो थैंकफुली वो सीरियस एनालिसिस होते हैं वो डिफेंस के ऊपर होते हैं तो जो मैं कभी जिंदगी में कभी कोई डिफेंस एनालिसिस किया नहीं था लेकिन आज की तारीख में डिफेंस एनालिसिस में मेरे नाम की गिनती हो जाती है भाई वो कहते हैं ना जब खुदा मेहरबान तब गधा पहलवान वाली कहानी होगी बट वन थिंग आई हैव सीन अ लॉट ऑफ न्यूज़ एंकर्स shouting and screaming and drama and comedy and that Ravan journalism यहाँ पे 10 बैठे होंगे पैनलिस्ट यहाँ पे 10 मगर एक बंदा बोल रहा होगा well you know who I'm talking about I'm not going to take any names but you know which channel or who I'm talking about तो एक बंदा बोल रहा होगा है so do you think those anchors can make very good comedians first those anchors can become very good actors as well too
I had a conversation with someone, I can't remember where, and they basically said that politicians are amazing actors. I cannot agree with this even like more. Like I think politicians make great. Like I think Shashi Tharoor tried stand-up comedy on Sapan Verma's show, and he was immediately good at it. And I think any politician who speaks regularly to a crowd knows कि हाँ क्या beats क्या होते हैं एक show के लिए, और उन्होंने किसी joke का version कहीं ना कहीं तो किया ही होगा. तो they will immediately become like, I mean, the transition will be easier for them. For the anchors, I'm not sure. Some of them could make good ones, some of them could not. I know off the fly, some of them are actually quite funny. Like I remember long back, we done a show with Arnab. Like I think 6-7 years back, we were talking about freedom of speech, and he said something that like there were 4 comedians on the panel and everybody burst out laughing. Like it was a genuinely funny joke. I can't remember what it is. कहीं I think हम लोग ने share भी किया था उस time पे 6-7 साल पहले. So I mean, it depends on whatever it is. Like yeah, I'm sure they'll make good. I think they have so many stories to tell. Like if one of them comes out and decides to say stuff about what actually happens behind the stage. I had a whole set I had written about news debates. I had a 40-minute show about news debates, and usme yeah, it was something that I had to remove actually because I was naming too many
Reading
people.
this comment while speaking. so, so Sumit Badola, right? There's a lot of comments coming in. I'll read out a few. I think we have comedians who watch these anchors.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. This format that we're doing right now, no, is this conversation is like the reason Joe Rogan or whoever is popular now is because this is the long form conversations which humanizes every opinion. The problem with the 60 minute where मतलब 10 लोग बोल रहे हैं और उनमें से तुमसे ज्यादा से ज्यादा तुम्हें 1.5 मिनट मिलेगा बात करने में. I mean, there's a dehumanization to that whole aspect of it, right? Where it's like present your one aspect of your personality without any nuance. And the reason why I like doing this, like, I mean, I've not gotten political or anything just yet. Maybe 10 years down the line I'll do it. Yeah, अभी 10 साल बाद करेंगे. अभी तो मतलब तुम कुछ भी बोलो तो कोई ना कोई गुस्सा हो जाता है कि you have to take a. I interviewed a couple of anchors. Okay, one was somebody who is perceived right, one is perceived left, and comments are so predictable. Where people from the left are like, "How can you interview right?
Yeah.
And then when I interviewed the left, people are like, "You only interview left." I'm like, but just I'm
Yeah.
okay with human beings, no? Like, why? What is your problem? Just interview human beings, no? So yeah. Anyway, watch what you want is what I'm telling
I
everybody.
swear, this thing is too much, Left, right, yes, I, oh, I. Why be balanced, interview human beings, be neutral, be there as a person, as a human being. बिल्कुल बहुत सही, बहुत दुरुस्त फरमाया आपने. Now, also one more thing, I would like to know. I want to look for. I'm thinking of some interesting question to ask you, Saurabh. वो मेरे ज़हन में भी पैदा हो रहे हैं. I'm just getting warmed up, but I know
No
with
problem.
you.
So I'll tell you what it's not even about being like neutral in life. I'm saying if you want to be right, you want to be left. I'm just or whatever you want to be central, you want to be whatever opinion you have. Just I mean, you have the privilege now of doing these YouTube lives, doing whatever. कहीं भी जाके करो. You can have long form conversations, talk about what your political opinion is and why. But I find it so exhausting. Like okay, you know what? Here is the thing. Okay, Kamala Khan got arrested for saying something right now,
आज
and
आज
a
हुआ
lot
है,
of
कल हुआ है, आज हुआ है.
I think kal hua hai and whatever. And a
कल
lot
यार
of
हाँ.
people were celebrating ki हाँ अच्छा हुआ and all. I'm like, no, I don't care if you disagree with this guy. Just and what he said was like, okay, tasteless and all. No, I agree. But the right response to that is कि भाई क्या बोल रहा है तू? और जो तूने बोला गलत है इस वजह से. Not like let's arrest this person. So anybody even going out and saying that it's the right to arrest this guy for words, I find it absolutely ridiculous. That I'm like we are so affected by words that is constantly said, and I do understand that people make mistakes. Like I've made a lot of jokes in my lifetime where I would be like I'm fully apologetic about it, but the process should be that hey, this is why we think X Y Z, and this is why maybe you don't want to do it, and then the person decides, and then either way. But please don't celebrate Kamala Khan getting arrested. I find that a little absurd.
Very well said. Very well said, Saurabh. Saurabh, there is a lot to talk to you, and thank you so much for sparing your time. And बहुत कुछ है क्योंकि आपकी एनर्जी और आपकी सिनर्जी आपके साथ आपकी फ्रीक्वेंसी पे जहाँ पे मैं मिल रहा हूँ, यहाँ पे कनेक्ट कर पा रहा हूँ. It is tremendous, brother. It is really, really amazing. And I feel like if गुफ्तगू में जाए तो we can just chat up the entire night. And I had promised you 20 minutes, and I have doubled, almost tripled the time. and I am truly grateful to you and truly indebted to you. But before we peel off for the night, any message you would like to send out to the universe, Saurabh?
I would like to send a message to everybody, which is that send me money. I want cash deposited in an empty bag left under Mahim Creek. Pick it up tomorrow. No, no, I'm just no. Listen, I knew this was going to be 1 hour. When you said also 20 minutes, I'm like, nahi, nahi, मैं जानता है, एक घंटा चलेगा. Because also I talk a lot. Let's be perfectly honest. you, Sumit Badula says thank you, sir.
Thank you,
You,
sir.
you know, you know when I decided to start doing my YouTube lives, right? तो I think pandemic के पहले I think तीसरे हफ्ते में we did some पता नहीं किसी जर्नलिस्ट से हम 7 comedians को बुलाया. I think अनु मेनन, बस्सी, मी, पता नहीं और कौन 3-4 लोग थे. Ali, I'm not exaggerating. There were 4 questions asked. Okay, just 4 questions were asked, and it went on for 1 hour 40 minutes. Because
My
ये
God.
एक सवाल का एक कमेडियन जवाब दे रहा है, फिर उसका कोई और जवाब दे रहा है, फिर they're taking over, and then blah blah, and the journalist was just like, I guess I'm also here. So that's when I realized that you should, like, comedians are always like, it's always going to be long form. But no, thank you so much for having me. I sincerely
Thank you so
appreciate
much
it.
for
And
considering to be here, man.
no, no,
Really.
it's absolutely my pleasure. We've been talking about this for a very long time, and yeah, I'm glad I could come. And also, just a couple of things: if anybody's tuning in, subscribe to this channel as well. Give some love
Yes.
to people and go watch.
अपने नाम का हैंडल बताओ आप. Let's write it down over here. Or think you are you? Can you see the comment? Can you put a link over there of your channel? Huh?
I'm not on the YouTube. I'll tell you what, just anybody watching, subscribe to me on. I have 2 channels. One is Pant on Fire, where I do stand up comedy. One is Wake Up with Sorabh Lives, where I do lives. I will be interviewing Samay Raina on Saturday night, I think, sometimes. So that'll be fun. And I'm also on tour constantly. This weekend, I'm in Hyderabad and Calcutta. And then after that, I have a massive show in Dubai at the big theater in Mall of the Emirates on 17th of September. All tickets are on sorabpant.com, sorabhpant.com. So please come and support my ridiculous comedy.
What I will do is मैं भी यहाँ पे I'm trying to locate that. अच्छा मिल गया चैनल. नाउ कौन सा वाला डालूं मैं? The one where you have 367K वाला डालूं या 25 वाला डालूं?
Whatever you feel. I'll leave it up to you. You know, surprise the
Okay.
audience. Let them figure it
Let
out.
me put
Let them,
both. I'm just trying to put both.
superstition thing is just like it's part of your process. Like you're just used to having a certain process before going in. So he's like, that's a beautiful voice that's coming in.
That is your.
Beautiful, beautiful voice. Sounds very erotic.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There is a thin line between routine and superstition.
एक तो ये है और एक और मैं ये डाल रहा हूँ.
Now, if you look at Nadal,
I think let's put my YouTube let's put my stand up. Actually, I think a lot of people might not be familiar with my stand up who are watching, so go check out my stand up. That's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Anu Malik at the stage. That's the one. And half the crowd are foreigners, and the other half are Indians. So half the crowd applauds.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear loud and clear. Loud and clear, loud and clear. I'm going to tell all of you the story. I'm going to tell you a story about how I made the Mumbai Indians win the IPL.
Yeah, you know, you have so many subscribers on YouTube, on your Twitter. You have millions of them. आप अपना एक स्टैंड अप का लिंक वहीं पे ही लगा दो ट्विटर पे.
अरे बहुत बार लगाया, कोई देखता नहीं है वहां से. Twitter is a very given thing. Twitter, I've realized, is all about, like, people only care about. Actually, I think it's changed a little bit. I think जिन लोग ने मुझे उस टाइम 2.5 मिलियन लोग जो जिन्होंने फॉलो किया मुझे ट्विटर में, उस टाइम में मैं पॉलिटिक्स और न्यूज के बारे में डेली बात करता था. मैं 6 ट्वीट डालता था डेली. Like I was treating it like work. Now, obviously, I think I'm just like constantly skeptical about putting out anything. So I've realized Twitter is a platform where you have to give opinion, and I have no opinions anymore. So my Twitter, I'm not saying it's not active, but I'm just saying now on Twitter all I talk about is pop culture and cricket. That's it.
Lovely. Lovely, Saurabh. Thank you so much, brother. It's been wonderful being in conversation with you. And shukriya बहुत बहुत. And regards to your family,
Thank you, sir.
brother.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you so much. I really appreciate you having me, and take care. And much love to your father and the whole family once again, and to all the
Thank
sirs
you,
in your
sir.
life, the sirs and the sahibs and the uncles and everybody. Take care,
Bye.
Ali. Take care. Bye bye. Thank you so
Likewise,
much.
brother.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Good night.